The rain-slicked streets of Los Angeles gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps as I stumbled out of Isaiah's penthouse. His taste still burning on my lips like a brand I couldn't scrub away. "This ends tonight, Nathaniel," he'd whispered, his voice cracking like thunder over the Hollywood hills. But his hands had betrayed him, clutching me as if I were the only anchor in his storm-tossed world. In that moment, with the city sprawling indifferent below us, I realized 3 years of pretending had carved us both hollow, lovers in the shadows, strangers in the spotlight, and I wasn't sure if the ache in my chest was heartbreak or the first breath of freedom. It started with a contract, the kind that sounds like salvation when you're 25 and scraping by on bit parts in indie flicks that never see the light of day. I was Nathaniel Hayes then, just another wide-eyed actor crashing on a friend's couch in Silver Lake, auditioning for roles that demanded ethnically ambiguous heartthrob with a backstory of quiet resilience. Isaiah Cole was already a legend, 42, Oscar-nominated. The wunderkind who turned gritty queer coming-of-age tales into box-office gold without ever letting the world peek behind his own curtain. His films whispered truths about hidden desires and fractured families. But off-screen, he was a fortress, tailored suits, clipped interviews, a string of close friends who vanished like smoke. We met at a rap party for his latest, Echoes in the Margins, a Sundance darling about 2 men navigating the AIDS crisis in 80 San Francisco. I was there as arm candy for a producer's assistant, nursing a warm IPA and dodging small talk about my inevitable breakout. Isaiah spotted me across the rooftop bar, his eyes storm gray, always calculating, locking on like a director framing his next shot. "You look like you belong in my next one," he said, sliding onto the stool beside me, his voice low and laced with that East Coast edge he never quite shook from his Yale days. We talked for hours, Scorsese versus Spielberg, the betrayal of Brokeback Mountain's marketing, how the industry chews up queerness and spits it out sanitized. By dawn, as the party thinned to stragglers and the sun bled pink over the Pacific, he handed me his card. "Call me. I have a proposition." The proposition was clinical, typed on crisp letterhead from his lawyer's office in Century City. 3 years as his partner, public dates, red carpets, the occasional joint interview to humanize his image after a tabloid storm accused him of predatory behavior. On set, whispers of an affair with a young lead actor, quickly buried with NDAs. In exchange, $50,000 a year, rent on a modest bungalow in Echo Park, and priority consideration for roles in his productions. No sex, no strings, just the illusion of domestic bliss to quiet the vultures circling his career. "It's business, Nathaniel," he said over coffee at Intelligentsia, his fingers drumming the table like he was editing a tense scene. "You play the devoted boyfriend. I play the reformed playboy. We save each other's asses. I signed because I was drowning. My agent had ghosted me after a string of no callbacks, and the rejection emails piled up like unpaid bills. Isaiah was a lifeline, even if it meant faking affection for a man who viewed love like a plot device, necessary, but disposable. Our first date was a premiere at the Egyptian Theater, me in a borrowed Tom Ford suit that hung loose on my frame, him radiating that effortless charisma as flashbulbs popped like gunfire. We held hands on the carpet, his palm cool and steady against my sweat-slick one, and when Variety snapped Isaiah Cole's mystery bow, I felt a thrill sharper than any audition high. That night, back at his place, a modernist glass box overlooking the Griffith Observatory, he poured a scotch and toasted to the con of the century. We laughed, the sound echoing off the walls. And for a split second, his guard slipped, a genuine smile, the kind that crinkled his eyes and made him look almost vulnerable. But vulnerability was a luxury Isaiah couldn't afford. His ex-wife, Elena, a set designer he'd married in a lavender haze back in the 90s to keep up appearances, had left him with a daughter, Mia, now 16 and sharp as a switchblade. She lived with her mom in Brooklyn, but visited summers. A whirlwind of eye rolls and indie band tees who call me Nate the Fake when Isaiah wasn't listening. Dad's using you like a prop, she'd mutter during poolside chats at his Malibu rental. Her voice all New York bite. Don't let him break you. I brushed it off, told myself it was just kid stuff, but her words lodged like a splinter. Isaiah doted on her in that distant, performative way, gifts from Rodeo Drive, awkward father-daughter hikes in Runyon Canyon. But I saw the fractures, the way he'd zone out mid-conversation, staring at old photos on his phone, or snap at crew members over minor script tweaks. 6 months in, the cracks in our facade started showing. We were at the Golden Globes after-party, champagne flutes in hand, surrounded by A-listers who eyed us like a curiosity, the straight-laced director and his pretty boy shadow. Isaiah was magnetic that night, charming agents and critics with anecdotes from his Boston Irish Catholic upbringing, the altar boy who traded rosaries for reels. I play my part, laughing at his jokes, resting a hand on his knee under the table. But then a producer from Paramount cornered him, slurring about that lawsuit from the Echo's kid. Bury it deeper next time. Isaiah's face went stone cold, and he excused us, dragging me to a balcony overlooking the Sunset Strip. Ignore it, he hissed, lighting a cigarette with hands that trembled. It's nothing. It wasn't nothing. Later, in a limo ride back to his place, I pressed him gently, like testing a bruise. Who was the kid? The one from the tabloids. He stared out the window, the city lights streaking his reflection into abstraction. A mistake. He was 18, fresh off the bus from Ohio. I gave him a roll. He thought it meant more. His voice was flat, but I caught the undercurrent, guilt, sharp and unfilleted. It happens in this town, Nathaniel. Power imbalances. I ended it clean, no harm, but his eyes told a different story, haunted by something deeper. A secret coiled like smoke in his chest. I wanted to push, to demand the truth, but the contract loomed, discretion or default. So I swallowed it, let the silence stretch. And when we got home, I poured us both another drink and pretended the weight wasn't settling in my bones. By year one, the pretending blurred. We'd fall into rhythms that felt dangerously real. Lazy Sundays at the farmer's market in Santa Monica, haggling over heirloom tomatoes while he teased my Midwestern earnestness. I'd grown up in a suburb outside Chicago. All cornfields and Catholic guilt. Evenings scripting lines in his home office. Me sprawled on the leather couch as he paced, voice rising in mock arguments that dissolved into laughter. One night, after a brutal table read where the studio execs gutted his queer subplot for broader appeal, he collapsed beside me, head in my lap, and murmured, "You're the only one who gets it." His hair was salt and pepper soft under my fingers, and I traced the lines etched by too many sleepless edits. The air hummed with unspoken want, but we danced around it, brushing hands in the kitchen, lingering gazes over morning coffee. The contract forbade crossing lines, but desire has a way of redrawing maps. Then came the misunderstanding that nearly unraveled us. It was Mia's spring break visit, her first full week in L.A. since our relationship went public. Isaiah wanted normalcy, family dinners at Musso and Frank, a hike up to the Hollywood sign where we'd picnic with views of the smog-veiled valley. I played the doting boyfriend, charming her with stories of my theater days at Northwestern, but she saw through it like glass. "You're good at this," she said one afternoon by the pool, her bikini top askew as she scrolled TikTok. But Dad's a pro at faking. He did it with Mom for years. I laughed it off. But that night, Isaiah overheard us from the doorway, his silhouette rigid. "What the hell? Mia?" he barked, storming in. She fired back, teenage fury about his double life, how he'd shipped her off to boarding school to protect her from the rumors. I tried mediating, but it escalated, accusations flying like shrapnel. "He's using you, Nate, just like he uses everyone," she yelled, tears streaking her mascara. Isaiah turned on me then, eyes blazing. "Is that what you think? That this is all a game?" The hurt in his voice sliced deeper than anger. I stammered denials, reassurances, but he waved me off, grabbing his keys. "I need air." He was gone for hours, the house echoing with Mia's sobs and my impotent pacing. When he returned at 3 a.m., reeking of bourbon and regret, he collapsed into the armchair, head in hands. "She's right," he admitted, voice raw. "I built this life on lies." Elena knew, God. She knew, and she stayed for Mia. "Now you." He trailed off, looking at me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. In that fractured moment, I crossed the line, knelt before him, cupped his face, and kissed him. Not the peck for paparazzi, but slow, searching, pouring 3 years of banked longing into it. He froze, then melted, his hands fisting my shirt as if to anchor himself. We broke apart gasping, the air charged. "Nathaniel," he whispered, forehead to mine. "We can't, but we did once, twice, in the dim lamplight, bodies remembering what words couldn't say." It wasn't passion's fire, it was desperation's glow. 2 men clinging to authenticity in a world of scripts. The fallout was seismic. Mia flew back to Brooklyn the next day, her goodbye a curt hug and a whispered, "Be careful, he breaks what he loves." Isaiah threw himself into pre-production for Shattered Frames, a thriller about a closeted journalist unraveling a political scandal. He cast me as the love interest, a composite of every tender moment we'd stolen, and the set became our battlefield. Days blurred into night shoots under the relentless Klieg lights, me delivering lines laced with subtext only we understood, him directing with a ferocity that bordered on cruelty. "More vulnerability, Nate, dig deeper," he'd shout, but his eyes pleaded the opposite. "Don't see me, don't know me." Off camera, we'd steal moments in his trailer, shared takeout from In-N-Out, fingers brushing over fries, conversations veering from Camus to the Cubs' latest slump. "You make me want to be better," he confessed one midnight, rain pattering the roof like applause. Less guarded. Real. I believed him. Let myself fall, wholly, recklessly, imagining a future beyond the contract's expiration. But secrets have a half-life, and Isaiah's was rotting from the inside. It started with anonymous emails to his inbox, forwarded to me by mistake, grainy photos from that Echo's rap party. The young actor, let's call him Jordan, draped over him, both laughing too close. "Tell the truth, or it goes public," the sender demanded. Isaiah dismissed it as a disgruntled XPA, but I saw the panic flicker, the way he'd check his phone obsessively, snap at grips over coffee runs. I confronted him after a particularly grueling day on location in the desert outside Joshua Tree, the sun baking the sand into mirage. "Is Jordan the secret? The one from the tabloids?" He laughed bitterly, kicking at a prop crate. "Jordan was a kid who idolized me. I mentored him too closely, maybe, but it ended before it began. It's blackmail. Nathaniel. Leverage." I pressed, heart pounding like bass in a club. "Leverage for what? Your career? Our life." That's when the bomb dropped. Not Jordan, but Mia. The sender was her biological father, not Isaiah, but a sound tech from his early days. A one-night stand Elena had hidden to protect their marriage. Isaiah had known for years, raised Mia as his own because family's what you make. Not what blood dictates, but the tech, bitter and broke. Wanted paternity rights now, custody, back child support, a slice of Isaiah's empire. If it leaks, Isaiah said, voice hollow as the wind-whipped dunes, Mia's world shatters. The press will devour us, the fake family, the fake queer icon. He looked at me then, raw and exposed. And you be collateral. The boyfriend who knew and stayed silent. The betrayal hit like a gut punch, not his lie, but the isolation of it. For 3 years, I'd bare my soul in stolen kisses and midnight confessions, while he hoarded this nuclear truth. Why didn't you trust me? I demanded, tears hot on my cheeks. Because I'm poison, he shot back. The words of whip crack. I ruin everything I touch. Ask Elena. Ask Jordan. We argued until the crew packed up, voices echoing off the rocks like accusations. I stormed back to L.A. Alone. The contract's end date looming like a guillotine, 3 months away. Days turned to radio silence. No calls. No texts. Just me haunting the bungalow, scripting voicemails I'd never sent. Mia reached out once. A hesitant DM, Dad spiraling. Talked to him. But pride, that stubborn American virtue, kept me walled off. The climax crashed in like a California wildfire. Unexpected and all-consuming. It was the night of the contract's renewal discussion. Isaiah's lawyer at a discreet bistro in West Hollywood. Papers spread like a peace treaty. I arrived late, nerves frayed from a callback that ghosted, only to find Isaiah absent. The lawyer, a slick shark named Harlan, slid the extension across the table. 2 more years, double the pay, to ride out the storm. Storm, I echoed, stomach twisting. Harlan's smile was pitying. The custody suit filed this morning. Public record by week's end. Isaiah's. Indisposed. I bolted, tires screeching toward his penthouse. The city a blur of neon and regret. He was on the balcony when I burst in, shirt unbuttoned, a half-empty bottle of Macallan at his feet. The skyline glittered mockingly, oblivious to the man unraveling before it. You knew, I accused, slamming the door. About the father. And you were going to drag me in a round 2. He didn't deny it. Just turned, eyes red-rimmed. I was protecting you. This town eats vulnerability for breakfast. The fight was cataclysmic. Me hurling words like coward, him countering with survivor, until it peaked in a shove, me against the railing, him looming, breaths mingling in the humid night. I love you. Damn it, he growled. The confession torn from him like a confession in a confessional. That's why I have to let you go. Time fractured. Love? After the lies. The walls? But his face, etched with a pain older than our charade, cracked my fury. I pulled him close. The kiss starting his anger, dissolving into something achingly tender. His hands roamed my back, mapping scars I hadn't shared, the childhood stutter from my dad's belt, the theater rejection that nearly broke me. I'm sorry, he murmured against my neck. For the contract, the secrets, for loving you too late. We made our way inside, bodies entwined on the rug. Not in conquest, but communion, slow explorations. Whispers of futures untethered. Dawn found us tangled, his head on my chest, the custody papers forgotten on the floor. But freedom's price is steep. The scandal broke 2 days later. Headlines screaming, Isaiah Cole's paternity bombshell, fake family exposed. Paparazzi swarmed the penthouse. Mia's school in Brooklyn fielding calls. Isaiah faced it head-on. A press conference at his agency's glass tower, voice steady, eyes fierce. Mia is my daughter in every way that matters. Blood doesn't define us, love does. He outed the text demands, the blackmail, turning the narrative from scandal to stand against toxic masculinity. The industry rallied. Stand with Isaiah trended. Allies like Pedro Pascal tweeting solidarity. Me? He released a statement. Nathaniel and I part as friends. Grateful for the authenticity he brought to my life. The final kiss came on that San Francisco rooftop. A week later, Mia in tow, her arm linked with his. A tentative peace brokered over late-night calls. We'd driven up the coast in his vintage Mustang. Windows down, Springsteen blasting Thunder Road as the Pacific whipped by. The city by the bay felt like absolution, fog-shrouded, layered with history. We stood at the edge, wind tugging our jackets, Mia snapping photos with her Polaroid. You two look like a movie poster, she teased, but her eyes were soft, forgiving. Isaiah pulled me aside as she wandered to the parapet, his hands framing my face. Go chase your dreams, Nate. Without my shadow, the kiss was a benediction, lingering, bittersweet, tasting of salt and possibility. No contracts, no cameras, just us, raw and real. I flew back to L.A. Alone, the bungalow sublet to a playwright from Seattle. Auditions picked up, a lead in an HBO pilot about queer activists in 70s New York. The role a mirror to our unspoken battles. Isaiah wrapped Shattered Frames without me, dedicating it to those who rewrite their endings. Mia texts me baseball scores from her summer league. Isaiah sends the occasional script page, unspoken invitations to collaborate, not control. The ache lingers, a phantom limb, but it's laced with gratitude. In America's relentless dream machine, we faked our way to truth. Love isn't a contract, but a choice, messy and human, worth every hidden scar. 3 months post-kiss, the dust settled into a new normal, one I navigated like a tightrope over the Grand Canyon. One gust from plummeting. I'd landed the HBO gig, Rebel Frames, a 6-episode arc tracing the Stonewall riots through the eyes of a fictional photographer named Elias, a man whose lens captured revolutions he couldn't claim in his own life. It was meta, aching with Isaiah's fingerprints, the stolen glances in dimly lit bars, the quiet defiance against blue uniform shadows. My director, a firebrand named Lena Vasquez out of Austin, saw the parallels immediately. This role's gonna gut you. Hey, she said on day one, her cowboy boots thudding the soundstage floor. You channeling an ex or something? I dodged with a grin. Just method acting, boss, but inside, it was excavation. Each scene a scalpel to the wounds we'd left untended. Isaiah kept his distance, a ghost in my periphery. A congratulatory email arrived the week shooting started. Proud of you, kid. Break a leg and a few hearts. No signature flourish, just his initial. I see, like a monogrammed cufflink. I stared at it for hours in my new apartment off Melrose. A sun-drenched walk-up with creaky floors and a balcony overlooking palm-choked alleys. Part of me wanted to reply, to spill the chaos of night shoots and the way Elias's arc mirrored my own unraveling. Instead, I archived it, let join the digital mausoleum of what-ifs. Mia, bless her, filled the void, care packages of Essa bagels shipped cross-country, voicemails ranting about her mom's latest vegan phase. Dad's a mess, she confessed during a FaceTime from her Brooklyn stoop, rain pattering the awning. Moping around like a kicked puppy. Tell me you're okay. I lied smoothly, thriving. Kiddo, but her skeptical squint said she wasn't buying. The custody battle dragged like a bad sequel. All depositions and character witnesses in a sterile courthouse downtown. Isaiah won primary guardianship. The tech exposed as a fabulous chasing clout more than connection. The press spun it as redemption, Cole's courageous stand for chosen family. But I knew the toll, late-night calls from mutual friends. Whispers of Isaiah, chain smoking on his balcony. Scripts piling up unfinished. One evening, post-rap, I caved and drove to his penthouse. The Mustang's top down despite the chill November bite. Security buzzed me up without question. Some habits die hard. He answered in sweatpants and a faded socks tee. Hair tousled like he'd been wrestling demons. Nathaniel, he breathed, surprise softening to something warmer. To what do I owe this intrusion? We ended up on the couch. Takeout cartons from Roscoe's scattering the coffee table, waffle fries and chicken wings. Comfort food for fractured souls. He talked first, unprompted, the hearings, Mia's resilience, how the scandal had cracked open old fissures with Elena. She flew out for the verdict, he said, picking at a label. First time in years without lawyers. We talked, really talked, about the lies we told ourselves. His laugh was rueful. Turns out, we're both still angry. I nodded, sharing my own ghosts, the HBO intensity. How playing Elias stirred memories of our first kiss. That desert confession. It's like you're in every frame, I admitted, voice thick. He reached across, thumb brushing my knuckle, a touch electric, familiar. Good. Let me haunt you a little. We didn't kiss, didn't cross into old territories, but the air hummed with possibility. A bridge half-built. Yet bridges burn easy in Tinseltown. The controversy reignited with a bang. An ex-thread from a former Echo's crew member, dredging Jordan's story with screenshots of deleted DMs. Isaiah Cole preyed on me at 18, it alleged. Hashtags exploding like fireworks. Cancel Isaiah trended overnight. Petitions circling for boycotts of shattered frames. I woke to my phone vibrating off the nightstand. Lena, furious. Your ex's mess is bleeding into my set. Fix it or we're recasting. Mia called next. Voice wobbling. It's everywhere. Dad won't answer. Heart slamming. I sped to his place again, finding him barricaded in the editing bay. Screens flickering with raw footage. Turn it off, I demanded, yanking cords. He whirled, eyes wild. You think I want this? Jordan's twisting it, revenge for cutting his scenes. The argument was volcanic, me accusing him of evasion, him defending with the desperation of a cornered animal. I was 28, Nathaniel, naive, drunk on first success. It was mutual, consensual, until it wasn't. His voice broke on the last, revealing the rot. Jordan had accused him of coercion, a claim Isaiah swore was fabricated for a payout. But the doubts seeded, thorny and insistent. Even if it's true, I pressed. Why hide? Own it. Like with Mia, he recoiled as if slapped. Because admitting weakness gets you devoured. You, of all people, should know, the pretty face who signed away his heart for a paycheck. The words landed like a haymaker, dredging my own complicity. I stormed out. The doors slam, echoing my fury. But regret chased me down Wilshire, taillights blurring in tears. Reconciliation came circuitous, via Mia's intervention. She flew out unannounced, crashing my set with a duffel and determination. You two are idiots, she declared over post-shoot tacos at a truck in Boyle Heights. Dad's drowning in guilt. You're playing martyr. Talk. Her bluntness, pure Brooklyn brass, chipped my defenses. We ambushed Isaiah at a quiet cafe in Los Feliz. The three of us crammed at a booth amid the scent of fresh scones and fair trade roast. Awkward at first, small talk about Rebel Frame's wardrobe malfunctions. Her AP lit paper on the Great Gatsby. Then, haltingly, the floodgates. Isaiah laid it bare, Jordan's advances. The power tilt he'd ignored. The fallout when the boy panicked and fled. I failed him, he admitted, hands steepled like prayer. Not predator, but enabler. And I've carried that shame like a stone. I share my side, the contract's cold calculus. How love had thawed it into something sacred, then shattered it. Mia mediated. Her presence a balm. Family's messy. But running? That's the real betrayal. From there, we rebuilt tentatively, like stacking Jenga blocks after a wobble. Isaiah testified voluntarily in a quiet settlement with Jordan. Term sealed, but the gesture public, a donation to youth theater programs in at-risk communities. The backlash ebbed, replaced by nuanced op-eds in The Atlantic, Isaiah Cole's Reckoning, Accountability in the Age of Me Too. Shattered Frames premiered to acclaim at TIFF. My cameo as a background journalist, a nod to our shared script. Off-screen, we dated, real, uncontracted. Dinners at hidden gems in Koreatown. Walks along Venice Beach at dusk, where he'd recite Keats under the boardwalk lights. Sex was rediscovered slow, not the frantic release of before, but deliberate, eyes locked, bodies learning trust. You're my rewrite, he murmured one morning, sunlight slanting through blinds onto sweat-damp sheets. But depth demands shadows, and ours deepened with Isaiah's diagnosis. It slipped in quiet. 6 months into our fragile peace, a routine checkup revealing early-stage pancreatic cancer. Aggressive, but catchable if treated. He told me over eggs at Dupars in the farmer's market. Fork midway to mouth. Casual as weather. Stage 2. Chemo starts next week. The diner noise faded to a roar in my ears. Clinking silverware. Laughter from a next booth, while my world narrowed to his steady gaze. Why now? I whispered. Hand over his. He shrugged. That wry half-smile. Universe's timing. Or karma's punchline. Mia flew out immediately. Her summer internship at an indie label sacrificed for hospital runs. We tag-teamed. Me handling the practical, scheduling infusions. Stocking ginger ale for nausea, her the emotional. Blasting Chapel Roan during drives to Cedars Sinai. The treatment was brutal. A montage of 4 drips and hair loss that Isaiah bore with stoic humor, finally shedding the silver fox look. But nights cracked him open, fever spiking, him clutching my hand in the dim ER glow, whispering fears of leaving Mia adrift, of our story ending mid-sentence. Don't you dare, I'd counter, kissing his knuckles. We're directing this one together. It forged us unbreakable. Love not as fairy tale, but forged fire, tempered by vigils and small victories, clear scans. A role offer for Rebel Frame Season 2. Yet the illness unearthed old rifts, arguments over experimental trials, his stubborn insistence on working through pain. I won't fade quietly, he'd snap, then soften an apology, head on my shoulder. Promise you'll stay? Always. I'd affirm, but doubt not. Was this my role forever, caregiver? Not equal? The unexpected climax hit during a family trip to Big Sur. A celebration post-remission scan. We'd rented a cliffside cabin, waves crashing below like applause. Mia sketching seabirds while Isaiah and I hiked the Pfeiffer Falls Trail. Midway up, sweat slick and breathless, he dropped to one knee, not proposal, but revelation. From his pack, he pulled a battered journal, entries spanning decades, raw confessions of his closeted youth in Southie, the marriage to Elena as armor, Jordan as a mirror to his own suppressed hunger. This is me. Unedited, he said, voice rough with gravel. The secrets I hid, even from you. Inside, pages chronicled us, our first coffee, the desert fight, that final kiss as the plot twist I never scripted. But the gut punch, a draft letter to Mia, outing the tech as her father, urging her to seek him if she chose. I was going to burn it, he explained. I was searching mine. But after the cancer, truth feels like oxygen. Betrayal surged anew, not the letter, but the unilateral choice. Deciding our family's fate solo. You'd shatter her world without us? I exploded, the trail's ferns blurring in rage. Mia, drawn by shouts, arrived mid-tempest, journal in hand. Her face crumpled, shock, then fury. You knew? All this time, Isaiah nodded, broken. The hike devolved into reckoning. Accusations hurled like trail mix. Tears mixing with trail dust. Mia fled down the path. Isaiah chasing. Me mediating from behind. At the cabin, it peaked, her demanding space. Him pleading forgiveness. Me torn between loyalty and the ache of exclusion. We're human, I finally said, voice steady amid the chaos. Flawed as hell. But we choose each other, every day. It diffused the bomb. Not with ease, but exhaustion. Hugs tentative. Promises whispered over bonfire esmores. Remission brought a deceptive calm. Like the eye of a hurricane masquerading as blue skies. Rebel Frames wrapped its second season to buzz. Critics hailing my Elias as a revelation of quiet fury, and Isaiah dove into a passion project. Unscripted bonds. A docuseries interviewing queer elders from the pre-marriage equality era. We collaborated remotely at first. Me in L.A. Feeding notes via Zoom. Him in a Brooklyn loft sublet near Mia's dorm. She'd started NYU Film. Majoring in screenwriting with a minor in calling out bullshit. Our lives interleaved. Weekend flights. Shared Google Docs scribbled with heart emojis. Phone sex that dissolve in a pillow talk about everything from Biden's latest gaffe to the Bears' playoff choke. You're my constant variable, he'd say. Voice husky over speakerphone. It felt sustainable. This bicoastal rhythm, until Mia's integration test. She'd met the tech, now Uncle Ray, a sound engineer gigging weddings in Queens, for coffee. Sans Isaiah's blessing. He's awkward but kind, she reported post-meet, over video from a Washington Square bench. Wants to know me, not own me. Isaiah's reaction was volcanic, a slammed door audible through the line. Accusations of betrayal. I flew east that night, landing in a loft's chaos. Takeout containers piled like accusations. Isaiah pacing in boxers. Mia barricaded in the guest room. She chose him, he ranted, bourbon sloshing. After everything, I pulled him down, hands firm on shoulders. She's choosing herself. Like you taught her. The mediation stretched days. Tense dinners at Peter Luger where forks scraped plates like swords. Walks along the high line where grudges thawed in autumn crisp. Mia's script draft, a short about fractured lineages, became our olive branch. Isaiah read it aloud. Voice cracking on the dedication, to the dads who tried. Back in L.A., the industry beckoned with sharper teeth. An Oscar nod for Shattered Frames thrust Isaiah into awards season frenzy. Luncheons at the Ivy. Gowns and tuxes airlifted from stylists. I tagged along as +1. Our red carpet poses natural now, no stiff grips. Just laced fingers and shared smirks for the giddy snappers. But envy simmered. My HBO tenure extended to series regular. Yet whispers followed. Isaiah's boy, not Nathaniel Hayes. Talent. A variety profile on him quoted sources. Cole's mentoring Hayes. But is nepotism the real plot? It stung. Dredging contract-era insecurities. One after-party. Tipsy on view. I confronted him in a hotel powder room. Mirrors multiplying our reflections into infinity. Am I your discovery or your partner? He blinked, hurt flashing. Both. And that's the beauty or the curse. We made up fiercely in the suite, bodies affirming what words fumbled. But the seed of doubt sprouted. The misunderstanding deepened with a leaked script page from Unscripted Bonds, an interview excerpt where Isaiah reflected on my first love, a young actor who taught me consent's fragility. Tabloids twisted it to Jordan Redux. Headlines blaring, Cole confesses past abuse in new document. My phone blew up, Lena demanding distance. Mia's text frantic. Is this about you? Isaiah swore it was anonymized. A composite of regrets. But paranoia gripped. Was our story fodder for his art? I pulled back, canceling a weekend in Big Sur for Location Scout. Solitude bred rumination, journaling feverishly about codependency. Therapy sessions unpacking the contract's chains. You're not his muse, you're his mirror, my shrink. A no-nonsense dyke from Oakland. Posited. Reflect back. But don't shatter. Climax brood at the Oscars. That glittering coliseum of egos. Isaiah's doc snagged a nod for Best Documentary Short. We sat front row. My hand in his under starched linen. The win came mid-ceremony, his name called. Applause thundering like judgment. On stage, Bowtie asked you. He thanked Elena, Mia, then paused, eyes finding mine in the sea of faces. And to the man who rewrote my ending, Nathaniel, this is ours. The kiss he blew, playful. Public, ignited cheers. But backstage, euphoria cracked. A producer cornered him. Great speech. But toned down the queer optics, test audiences flagged it. Isaiah laughed it off. But I saw the flinch, the old armor clicking into place. That night, in our Dolby suite overlooking the Vanity Fair party, the dam burst. Are we optics? I demanded, champagne flute shattering on marble. Or real? He recoiled, then rallied, real enough to scare me shitless. The fight unearthed everything. My fear of being the boyfriend, his terror of losing autonomy to love. Cancer stripped me bare, he yelled. But you made me want to rebuild, only to watch it burn. Mia, crashing the after-party, mediated again, her presence a talisman. Stop scripting this, she urged, eyes fierce. Improvise. We did. Apologies over room service fries. Truths traded like poker chips. By dawn, entwined on silk sheets, we vowed reinvention, no contracts, just clauses, weekly check-ins, solo trips to nurture independence. Yet decisions loomed, difficult as root canals. Isaiah's docuseries expanded to a feature, demanding a year in New York for interviews. Come with, he pleaded over Skyline Coffee at Le Pain Quotidien. But my HBO arc peaked with a Stonewall finale shoot. Non-negotiable. 6 months apart? I countered, heart clenching. Or we suffocate. The choice fractured us temporarily. Him east, me west. Calls laced with longing. Me abridged. Hosting virtual family nights with trivia and takeout reveals. Distance clarified. I guest starred on a Pose spinoff. Earning my first Emmy buzz, he mentored at Tish. Mia's prof gushing. Loneliness bit, but growth flowered. Me therapy deep. Him journaling publicly on Substack. Confessions of a late bloomer. Reunion sparked at Mia's freshman showcase. A short film she directed. Bloodlines Unwritten. Premiering in a Village Theater thick with NYU scent. We converged. Isaiah from Tribeca Edit Bay. Me fresh off Red Eye. The film wrecked us. A teen navigating dual paternities. Ending in a bonfire epiphany of chosen kin. Post-screening Q&A. Tears flowed. Afterward, at a dive bar on Bleecker, we three toasted with IPAs. Proud of you. Bean, Isaiah said, ruffling her hair. She grinned, then slipped away for a smoke, leaving us. His hand found mine under the scarred table. Missed this. The kiss was barlit. Beery home. A year into our evolved rhythm. The humanistic core of us solidified, not flawless, but forged. Isaiah's cancer stayed in remission, a shadow we danced around with annual scans and superstitious knocks on wood. Unscripted bonds dropped on PBS to quiet acclaim, sparking school curricula on queer history, my Elias cemented as iconic, spawning fan art and think pieces in The Advocate. We bought a place together, not his penthouse monolith, but a craftsman in Silver Lake, terracotta roof and avocado tree heavy with fruit. Mia claimed the guest room for holidays. Her visits now rituals. Thanksgiving turkey trots up to the Hollywood Reservoir. Christmas Eve die-hard marathons with spiked eggnog. You two are disgustingly domestic, she'd groan, but her smiles betrayed delight. Conflicts persisted, gay gats as ever. A variety expose on Hollywood's power couples painted us as the ultimate insider romance, but footnotes dredged skeletons, the contract's origins, Jordan's settlement. Online trolls swarmed, fake love trending with photoshopped memes of us in chains. Isaiah weathered it with press savvy. An op-ed in The Guardian, from contract to conviction, owning my queer journey. I followed suit. A podcast with a moth, raw recount of signing away authenticity, reclaiming it through heartbreak. The backlash fueled empathy, letters from fans. Your story gave me courage to come out. Yet privately, it rankled. Anniversaries tainted by Google alerts. Intimacy interrupted by doubt's whisper. The deepest rift brewed from an olive branch gone toxic. Uncle Ray, Mia's biodad, reached out post-Bloodline's premiere, an email praising her talent, proposing a co-produce on her thesis project. She jumped, eager for collaboration, roping Isaiah and me into a dinner at his Astoria row house. 4 mica counters and faded Mets posters evoking working-class grit. Ray was affable, calloused hands from gigs, jokes about 90s grunge. But undercurrents swirled, sidelong glances at Isaiah, barbs masked as banter. Fancy director life suits you. Huh, must be nice. Isaiah stiffened. Fork stabbing pasta. I mediated with deflections. Post-meal, in the car, he erupted. He's playing victim to worm in. Mia defended. Give him a chance. Splitting loyalties. Weeks of tension followed. Her skipping calls. Him brooding over scripts. I arbitrated. Exhausted. Until a blowout at our Silver Lake kitchen. Accusations of favoritism. Pleas for unity. We're a mosaic, I insisted. Not a monolith. Therapy, family sessions via Zoom, stitched it, boundaries drawn. Ray's role peripheral but present. Misunderstandings peaked unexpectedly during Pride Month. That riotous American sacrament. Isaiah helmed a float for his studio, drag queens lip-syncing to Gaga atop a rainbow-wrapped semi, inviting me as co-MC. The route pulsed with energy, confetti cannons, thumping bass. Strangers cheers a balm to old wounds. But midway down Hollywood Boulevard, a counter-protester's sign, repent, Hollywood sodomites, flung Isaiah into freeze. Flashback. He later confessed, Southie taunts. His father's belt for sissy tears. He bailed mid-parade, vanishing into an alley. I found him later at a dive-off Sunset, nursing a whiskey neat. I froze, he admitted, shame thick. In front of everyone, our people, the vulnerability cracked me. I held him there, amid sticky floors and jukebox twang, whispering, you're enough. Always, it deepened us. Pride became annual pilgrimage, not performance. Decisions tested resolve. Isaiah's offer to direct Rebel Frame Season 3. A dream collision. Partner with me, he urged over Diner Pie. Fork poised. But autonomy tugged. I'd fielded solo offers, a lead in a Spielberg drama, Echoes of Empire, about civil rights intersections. Your vision. My face. I hedged. The choice loomed difficult. Ego versus ensemble. We workshopped it. Pros/cons lists on fridge magnets. Walks debating creative sovereignty. Ultimately, I deferred to Spielberg, committing to rebel under his helm. Trust exercise, I quipped. It paid dividends. Our on-set dynamic electric, scenes infused with live subtext. Yet friction sparked, his perfectionism clashing my improv flair. Arguments overtakes escalating to slam doors. Directing you is directing us, he conceded one rap night. Under studio lights. Terrifying. The true high tide crested with Mia's wedding, not hers, but a surrogate rite, her commitment ceremony to Alex. A non-binary sound designer met in Film Lab. 2 years in. They opted small, rooftop in Bushwick. Fairy lights and falafel trucks, inviting Ray, Elena, us. Isaiah walked her down an aisle of wildflowers. Voice wobbling through vows, I stood beside Alex. Rings exchanged under a harvest moon. Post-ceremony toasts unearthed ghosts. Elena's speech on second chances. Ray's awkward nod to found family. Isaiah pulled me aside, mid-revelry. City hum below. This us. Them. It's the plot I never dared write. The kiss was moon-kissed. Profound, not finale, but fade to next act. Yet by tragedy shadowed our humanism. Isaiah scanned 6 months post-wedding lit false alarms. A shadow. Benign but biopsy probed. Panic resurged. Hospital nights. Mia's flights. My hand steady in his. Clean bill came, but it reframed life finite. Love urgent. We channeled it, a joint memoir pitch. Contract hearts. Anonymized truths for queer youth. Rejection stung, but persistence prevailed. A small press in Portland. Launch at a queer bookstore in the village. Readings drew crowds, tears, hugs. One fan whispering, "You saved my marriage." It humanized us further, not icons, but survivors scripting forward. In quiet moments, sunrise jogs up Beechwood Canyon. His head on my pillow to NPR's Morning Edition. I reflect on the arc. 3 years contracted. Lifetimes earned. Betrayals forged trust. Conflicts clarity. We're American as apple pie gone rogue. Messy. Resilient. Unapologetic. Isaiah's final kiss. Not endpoint, but ellipsis. Breathless promise of tomorrows. And in that, the deepest romance. Choosing. Daily. To exhale together.